Okay, so thank you, Chairperson. Okay, so good afternoon. I'm Dr. Paul from Wawasa Open University, Malaysia. For today, I'd like to share on the topic of lifelong learning in the era of IR 4.0, a concept analysis. So, as we know, in IR 4.0, these are the terms that are common to us. For example, globalization, rapid technological change, future demand of market relevant skills. So under this environment, we can see that human capital is intensely impacted by this environment because we face the threat of being left behind, we face the threat of becoming irrelevant, we face the threat of losing our jobs. So human capital is constantly competitive in this globalized knowledge economy. In order to survive, in order to cope with these challenging challenges of daily life, lifelong learning is critical element in this uncertain time. So lifelong learning initially started in the 1970s to provide adults the access to formal courses in educational institutions. And in 1996, OECD education ministers adopted lifelong learning for all as a policy framework. It is a more comprehensive perception of lifelong learning now by including all purposeful learning activities pursued by all individuals to improve their knowledge and competencies. So it's not only limited to adults in formal education. And this comprehensive perception is also adopted by UNESCO and the European Commission. I believe you are familiar with Klaus Schwab, okay, who is the founder and executive chairman of World Economic Forum. According to him, IR 4.0 has yielded disruption to labor markets. So globally, the workforce is impacted. Human labor is substituted by automation across the entire economy, and economic inequality is exacerbated. The segregation between low skill, low pay, and high skill, high pay is increasing widened. So in order to help individuals to achieve sustainable growth, we need to adopt lifelong learning. So in this paper, concept analysis on lifelong learning is conducted. Lifelong learning is a common concept known by the community. So we hope through this paper, we are able to refine and clarify the concept in theory, in practice, and in research to arrive at precise theoretical and operational definitions for future research and for instrument development. We hope to identify a more constructive and comprehensive attribute of lifelong learning in the era of IR 4.0 to articulate the dimensions in depth and to further extend this concept in future research to develop lifelong learning model and to develop assessment tools in future. So in this paper, the concept analysis by Walker and Evans 2011 was employed. Determining the defining attributes, identify a model case, a borderline case, and antecedents and consequences, and lastly, defining empirical reference. So I'll briefly go through the 8 steps in this presentation. So for the first step, selecting a concept. So it's clearly for this paper, the concept to be analyzed is lifelong learning. And for the aims and purposes of analysis is to delineate the attributes of lifelong learning models that can be adopted to raise the quality of employable workforce, and in particular to develop a model that meets the needs of Malaysian higher education to keep abreast of the demanding expectation in the era of IR 4.0. So in the third step, identifying all the uses of the concept. So the initial area of inquiry was within the standard dictionary definitions. So there are 4 definitions taken from the established dictionaries. The first one is from dictionary.com. The provision, lifelong learning means the provision or use of both formal and informal learning opportunities throughout people's life in order to foster the continuous development and improvement of knowledge and skills needed for employment and personal fulfillment. And for Cambridge Dictionary, lifelong learning means a process of gaining knowledge and skills throughout your life, often to help you do your job properly. According to Macmillan Dictionary, lifelong learning is a process of gaining knowledge and skills that continue throughout a person's life. And for Oxford English Dictionary, lifelong learning is a form of approach to education which promotes the continuation of learning throughout adult life, especially by making educational material and institutions available throughout libraries, colleges, and information technology. So for Tillmans and Ingleby, lifelong learning is a generous term including formal, non-formal, and informal learning. For Belford, Georgia, and Brown Grant, lifelong learning begins from the beginning of life until the end of life. And for Alford, 2008, lifelong learning has gained additional importance to advance a market-driven agenda of employability. So in the following steps of Walker and Evans concept analysis, determining and defining attributes. So from just now, the literature review and the concept of different dictionaries and different authors, we can see that the attribute that keep appearing in the literature review and frequently associated with the familiar concept of lifelong learning are acquiring new knowledge and skills throughout a person's life, and also enhancing job opportunities and career advancement. For the fifth step in the concept analysis, a model case is of the use of the concept that demonstrate all the defining attributes. For borderline case is similar to a model case, but it only contains parts of the defining attributes of the concept. And for identifying antecedents and consequences, antecedents refer to the elements that are present prior to the occurrence of the concept of lifelong learning, and consequences refer to elements that occur as a result of the concept of lifelong learning. So for the antecedents example here are, lifelong learning occurs when there is a goal to achieve and the individual is aware of the resources available. The person is clear of the learning area he or she would like to get involved and the reason of getting involved. And the consequences here is, after having involved in lifelong learning, the individual will have renewed self-motivation, improved self-confidence, and he and she has enhanced the professional knowledge and skills. So for the final steps here, defining empirical reference. Empirical reference means to identify criteria used to measure the presence or existence of the attributes of the concept. So there are three measures to assess lifelong learning. The first one here is the 16-item lifelong learning skills, LLS, which was formulated by Wilkiewies and Milne-Wilson in 2014 to assess the competency of lifelong learning among college students. It is a 5-point Likert scale questionnaire ranging from never to always. And the second assessment tool is lifelong learning questionnaire by Kirby, Nepper, Lemon, and Necker 2010, which was developed based on the 5 characteristics of lifelong learning identified by Nepper and Crawford. So there are 14 questions on 5-point Likert skills ranging from -2, strongly disagree, to +2, strongly agree. And the other one, the measurement here is the effective lifelong learning inventory, which was initially developed by Deakin-Crick, Breadfoot, and Claxton in 2004 as a pedagogical tool. It continued to evolve into a 72-item online self-report inventory measuring 7 dimensions of lifelong learning. Upon completion of the profile, the learning disposition will be visually mapped into a 7-spot spider diagram. So the 7 dimensions here under this skill is curiosity, resilience, learning relationships, changing and learning, strategic awareness, meaning making, and creativity. So for implications, we hope that with the concept on analysis of this paper, it is able to provide clarity surrounding the concept of lifelong learning and to further expand the concept to developing lifelong learning model and assessment tool. Lifelong learning is a broad and subjective concept. Its interdisciplinary nature penetrates across various fields of studies, from business to agriculture to healthcare, education, and so on. So we hope we are able to establish a constructive concept on lifelong learning. And with a concrete understanding of this concept, a new integrative lifelong learning model can be explored in future, and an assessment tool to measure attribute in different disciplines can be developed. As for the limitation, the literature search was restricted to English language and publication dates between 2000 and 2020. The data included may not constitute all possible relevant data related to the proposed concept. Since the concept was examined within the context of education and included primarily education-related literature, the richness of the meaning of the concept for use in other disciplines may be limited. And this analysis does not address the specific needs of any identified target group. For conclusion, lifelong learning is a concept that's worth revisiting to fit in the context of IR 4.0. The analysis of the concept of lifelong learning in this paper includes a proposed scope and set up the structure of the concept. The defining attribute of lifelong learning can serve as an initial framework for developing models and assessment tools to determine the preparedness of higher education institutions in Malaysia in embracing IR 4.0 and to direct further research related to this concept. Thank you.